I think Dobbins is, 5'10", 215. I think Javonte's 5'10", 218, something like that. I mean, this is the same back, and he's had a torn ACL, a torn Achilles, and he missed 4 games last year with an MCL. So I get it. He's explosive at his best, and I'm sure that's what they see. And it tells me after a little bit of the rookie mini camp and the OTAs, they're still concerned about third down a little bit, at running back. They want the young guy to play there and hope he can. But this to me looks like you're looking for Javonte Williams after you let Javonte Williams go.
ESPN's Jeff Legwold on In the Morning with Moser, Lombardi, and Kane, talking about the prospect of adding J.K. Dobbins to the Broncos running back room as we welcome you back inside the Backus and Shanker studios. Serious lawyers for the seriously injured. Alex Ryan-Emi alongside the coach, Mike Sanford. Let's talk about it. Is J.K. Dobbins Javonte Williams reincarnated?
Nope.
And do you need him?
Nope. As Sean Payton would say, no.
Are you doing a me right now?
No.
Was I doing it? I think I was doing it, Sean Payton.
Let me give you a couple advanced analytics on the oft-injured J.K. Dobbins.
All right.
Who you will be able to get, I believe, on the cheap because of what Leggy just said. Achilles and ACL. Not great. Missed time last year. 4 games he missed last year. J.K. Dobbins against loaded boxes, stacked boxes. So you are deficient in your number advantage with how your offensive line and tight end and blocking unit lines up in the box versus the defensive front. J.K. Dobbins last season, coming off of injury, even fighting injury during the season, he rushed 31 times for 208 yards and 4 touchdowns against stacked boxes last season. That's 6.7 yards per carry, which led all running backs in the National Football League with at least 25 carries against stacked boxes. Let me ask you a question, Raj. Is there anybody on the perimeter? Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims Jr., Troy Franklin, Devon Vele, Patrick Bryant. Any of those guys do you think will absolutely terrify a defensive coordinator? Like that is a wide receiver that scares the living crap out of me.
No.
So you're probably going to see some stacked boxes.
Does the wide receiver group scare you because it's so deep?
It's a good wide receiver group.
Also, like as a defensive coordinator, what is more difficult to game plan for? One stud and a bunch of nobodies? So like Calvin Johnson and the rest of the Detroit Lions in the early 2010s, or a wide receiver group like the Broncos, where you kind of look at everyone, you go, well, Cortland Sutton is your 1A, and then it's a bunch of guys who are good, not elite, but they can all hurt you. What's tougher to game plan?
Raj, here's what a Megatron does to a defensive coordinator, Calvin Johnson. It makes you have to have a plan to create either 2-on-1 zone looks, which would be like cover 2 if he's playing outside, or bracket, which is 2-on-1 man looks, where you have a guy pressing him and play trail technique. So let him beat you slightly and then trail him and then have a safety over the top. And you're playing a bracket top down. The problem with that, Raj, is that when you do that, it gets you out of your other defensive coverages, out of your other pressure opportunities. And so when you have a deep group of just, I'd say, solid wide receivers, you can just run your defenses the way that you want to run your defenses. Your coverages can be your coverages, and you don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul as a defensive coordinator, what you have to do in true bracket or a lot of zones that account for a guy like Megatron. Or right now I'd say Jamar Chase, but you can't really do it against them. That's the most terrifying thing, is when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That is terrifying. And the answer for that is you play a whole bunch of cover 2. If you play cover 2, that means you have 2 really high deep safeties that are playing over the top in zone coverage of a guy like Jamar Chase on one side and T. Higgins on the other side. If you're playing 2 safeties really high, what do you think your box looks like to run? Which is really good for the other team, right? Really good. the Broncos aren't going to see a lot of really good boxes. They're going to see a bunch of stacked and loaded boxes than they did last year, because them as a vertical passing team it's not bad. It's not terrible. Bo Nix showed that he's capable, but they just haven't shown that they're a team that would scare you enough to not +1 the box, even to utilize an extra player in the box for Bo Nix as a potential run threat, because he's a legitimate dual threat guy. J.K. Dobbins gives you something that is proven. R.J. Harvey is not yet proven that he can move the pile against bad looks. J.K. Dobbins, that is who he is. He's really good at it. And then the second thing that I've been just saying since before the draft, after the draft, third down pass protection, period, point blank, end of story. You don't have that guy right now on the roster. Audric Estime auditioning for it. So if you get J.K. Dobbins, I don't know that Audric Estime's spot on this roster is safe at all. And I don't know if that's necessarily the worst thing for the Broncos.
It's not like you utilized a primo draft selection to get. He's a 5th rounder. You like him because of the tape that he put out at Notre Dame. You like him because of his size. But moving on from a 5th round draft pick just 1 year after you made it, that's not the worst thing in the world. If it was a 3rd rounder, I'd question it. 2nd rounder, I'd certainly be upset about it. But 5th rounder, you're kind of taking a flyer at that point on running backs, hoping that you can find the type of diamond in the rough that other teams have. So I'd be okay with that. I think Dobbins is a good player to take he's not going to be minimum, but he's going to be close to it right now. Take a flyer.
I'm curious as to why the Chargers as a franchise went out and signed Najee Harris. Najee Harris is not a better back than J.K. Dobbins.
He's a healthier back than J.K. Dobbins.
The numbers aren't pretty when it comes to Najee Harris.
I mean, but what do you mean?
I'm talking about the advanced analytics. He's a bit of Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman are going to run the football a lot into bad boxes. J.K. Dobbins was the best in the National Football League at that. Najee Harris has proven at times to be a guy that is a bit of a tackling magnet. I actually think that they got worse. Now, unless they know something about J.K. Dobbins and they're just like...
what they see out of J.K. Dobbins is we see 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons in 17 starts in every single one of those years. Like, that's what they see out of Najee Harris.
Najee Harris has averaged 3.3 yards per carry and 29% success rate on runs directed outside the tackle, which is 3rd lowest amongst running backs with at least 50 such carries. He did not have a good year last year.
He's played literally 2 times the amount in the same time frame. 4 seasons. He has played 68 games in the NFL. J.K. Dobbins has played 37. That's what they saw. They went, we like J.K. He can break tackles. He can make chicken salad out of you-know-what. But the guy never stays on the field. It's very clear why they got rid of J.K. Dobbins. Yeah. And it's very clear why I think that Leggy, while he didn't come out and outwardly say it with the morning show today, went, do you really need him?
You really need him. Who are you counting on 3rd down right now?
Either a rookie or a 2nd-year 5th rounder.
That Sean Payton has already proven doesn't really trust. At least when the playoffs were... Broncos were in the playoffs for the first time and felt like forever. And Najee Harris had just come off of... Audric Estime had just come off of a pretty dang good half of running the football against the Chargers 2 weeks prior. Doesn't see the football but 3 times in the second half, and then doesn't even make the game day roster, active roster against the Bills. He's not trusted. Jaleel McLaughlin's trusted. But that's not enough lead in his pencil, man. He's not a 220-pound back or 215-pound back like what you got in J.K. Dobbins. I think you have to sign J.K. Dobbins. I don't think it's a luxury. It is a must. You don't have a 3rd down protecting back. What do we always say about Sean Payton? What does he want to do? Does he want to run power and counter and zone and duo? No, he wants to throw the football. What does that require? Pass protecting running back.
How do you like Bo against cover 1?
Right,
because if we're talking about stacked boxes and we're talking about getting bigger running backs that can can make what should be a run of no gain into a gain of 2 or 3 on first and second down. You're going to see, again, as you said, a lot of cover one, a lot of single high safety, because there's no threat with this wide receiver group that we zeroed in on there.
Nothing terrifying. I think there's a threat.
There's no elite threat.
Correct.
I'll give you that. So you're going to see a lot of cover one. What do you see out of Bo against cover one?
Well, I think first off, a lot of man coverage, and this is why you saw Lamar Jackson throw for, it felt like, what was it, 400 yards? Basically a perfect game.
It was a perfect game.
You know what kind of coverage Vance Joseph played that whole game? Zone. Because he was terrified of man coverage. If you run a go route, what is at least one defender doing? He's turning his back from the quarterback. So the quarterback as a threat to run the football is more viable against man coverage, which is cover one. So yes, I like Bo Nix against cover one as a runner. Does this wide receiver group create enough consistent separation against really good, tight, outside leverage, physical press man coverage? I don't think so. What did the Seahawks do to Bo Nix in week 1? Ton of cover one. How did Bo Nix play in that game? Not great. Bo Nix will eat up zone. He loves seeing cover 2. Soft cover 4, cover 3, spot drop. Man coverage, it forces his hand to run the rock as a quarterback more so. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
I don't hate that.
I
like that.
I like it too.
The offense opened up when Bo decided to start sprinting. Offense opened up.
It just...
And he doesn't really put himself into bad situations.
He's pretty smart.
I haven't seen that yet.
Pretty smart.
You haven't seen and again, Jaden Daniels is a freak, but you haven't seen I'm going to open up my body as though I'm Christ on a crucifix and allow a linebacker to spear me at 6'3", 245. Don't look back at him like that was sacrilegious.
I don't know, man. Raj goes through these little times where he just kind of gets a little edgy.
Okay, so if I stand straight up right now,
I just don't want the lightning bolt to come into our studio and smite us again
with my arms out to my left and my right. Give me another descriptor of what I look like right now.
A scarecrow.
Okay, there you go. If I look like a scarecrow, I didn't think you were going to be that quick. I hate you so much.
You actually look like a scarecrow right now. Yeah, you just got paint a little black on your nose. You look like a perfect little scarecrow.
Worst. You're supposed to not have a rebuttal.
Did I paint your face yellow?
All right, fine. I'll get rid of the crucifix. You look like a scarecrow, and then a linebacker hits you, running at you at 15, 17 miles an hour, 240 pounds. Jaden Daniels is going to get hurt. He's going to mess up a rib. Bo doesn't do that.
No, he's crafty. What I like about Bo is he'll throw his body on the line, like at the goal line, or at the sticks. He'll throw his body on the line.
He'll do the Baker Mayfield thing.
And to
John
me,
Elway helicopter.
To me, that's a smart football player. Don't do it when it's 2nd and 18 and you're running for 6 yards. Like don't get down. And he's good about it. He's really good about it.
Do it at 3rd and 7 on the opponent's 38.
Yeah, like we're good. We're fine. Bo's a really smart, crafty player. I still think that you don't have the pass protector you need right now. Jeff Legwold said it. You come out of rookie mini camp, OTAs, and you're hosting J.K. Dobbins. You got to read the tea leaves. It's not saying that Sean Payton doesn't like his running back group. It's saying that there is a void that was created with not having Javonte Williams in 2025 and not having Samaje Perine, who was unbelievably good as a 3rd down pass protecting specialist. You lost 2 of them over the course of the last 2 years.
We'll get back into the Broncos in a little bit. NFL notes coming up at 11:15. But on the other side, Christopher Dempsey returns with his NBA baseline. We'll get you guys ready for the NBA finals that start tonight between OKC and Indiana. Demps, next.
The temps are heating up here in Colorado, and so is all of the sports action at Circus Sports Colorado. We got a big one tonight, starting out the NBA Finals Game 1 in Oklahoma City. Yeah, I don't like it either. Pacers at Oklahoma City, and the Thunder are 9.5-point favorites on the Circus Sports Colorado app. So if you like the way that sounds either way, make sure you download the Circus Sports Colorado app because it's sports betting the way that it should be, with high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service that treats you like a VIP. In fact, talking about tight money line splits, right now the Thunder are minus 450 on the money line. So whether you're looking for playoffs, NBA Finals, NHL Stanley Cups, and Major League Baseball, those Rockies, everybody's been rushing to their sports betting apps to put something on the Rockies, or even your favorite players and more. Circus Sports has got you covered. So download the Circus Sports Colorado app or visit circusports.com today. A reminder, you must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, I mean, they're a great team. They're historically great on both sides of the ball. They have the MVP. I mean, there's so many different things that you could name down the list of why they are so great at what they do and why they're such a great team. And, we know that this is a great team, and I wouldn't want to, if we were to win a championship, I don't want to win any other way. I don't want to go around or go over. I want to go through. You want to go through the best team. You want to go through the best challenge. So this is the best challenge, and this is the best team in the NBA. It's been the best team in the NBA all year, and they're well coached. They just do everything so well. So there's no shortcuts to beating this team, and we know the odds are stacked against us. But it is what it is. We want to be here. We want to play against the best, and this is the best. So we're looking forward to the challenge as a group.
Tyrese Halliburton talking about the matchup that starts tonight, OKC and Indiana in the NBA Finals. It's the Paul George final, and he's one of those players that is where he is because of Paul George. As we head on out to the Ramos Law hotline, car accident, you need Ramos Law, medical doctor and attorney. Find them at ramoslaw.com, where we are joined by our friend Altitude TV's very own Christopher A. Dempsey. Demps, what's up, brother?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing great. Although I would like some sunshine here in the city, that would be nice. But no, I'm doing really, really good. Watched the NHL Stanley Cup final yesterday, the first game, and watching this one here today.
I hope that we're going to get something as competitive as we saw last night in the National Hockey League. For me, it does feel like this is OKC's to win in like 4 or 5 because they've been so dominant. For someone who hasn't watched a lot of Pacers basketball this year, what do I need to know about Indiana?
Well, I think they profile fairly similarly, especially offensively, to OKC. I think this is going to be a very fun series from the standpoint that it should be a little bit of a track meet. These teams like to get up and down the court, play in transition. I think the 3-point line would be the biggest differentiator between the two teams. Indiana shooting 40% from three in the playoffs. Now, look, the equalizer here is they don't take a ton of them. They take about 33, 34 per game. So OKC, which has not shot, I should say, the three very well in the playoffs, can maybe just neutralize that with just volume shooting. If they're shooting like 33% from the 3-point line, if you just up the attempts, and you could probably equal the makes over time. So, but I think this is an Indiana team that'll remind you a lot of a college team. They'll run off of makes. That's the thing that actually reminds me of a college team is you can make a shot, they'll inbound the ball immediately and run it back down your throat, and that's how they keep the pace high, and especially in a time of year where teams are really good at getting back in transition.
Demps, styles make fights, and I think everybody right now would just assume that OKC is going to win this series in 5-6. But if you look at the last 6 matchups, Indiana versus OKC, dating back to 2023, this is a 3-3 series split, even though this year was a 2-0 series win for OKC against the Eastern Conference foe in Indy. What do you see in terms of the style and how this thing will play out, and how do you think this could potentially go to 6 or 7 games?
Yeah, I actually do. Look, I think stylistically, OKC is, especially, if you're with when metrics are concerned, it's basically the best defense we've ever seen. But I think this is the best offense that they have played in the playoffs. And it's the team. The reason being is that Indiana is a team that it's very hard to just hone in on a guy. You could say, well, all right, let's just take out Tyrese Halliburton. And that has been what OKC has tried to do, actually has done in recent matchups against the Pacers. But it's a little bit more than that. It's not kind of like Anthony Edwards or even Nikola Jokic where you can just stand a bunch of people around him and then just dare anybody else to shoot, because everybody else can shoot for the Pacers. And, Tyrese Halliburton, while if he scores a lot of points, it's great. He doesn't need to for that team to win. He's a lot more of a balanced scoring plus assist guy, really just keeps the offense on schedule. But from Andrew Nembhard to Ben Mathurin to Shepard to Miles Turner they have so many guys that can make plays and make shots. It's going to be hard this will be, I think, the most stretched thin that we see the OKC defense that we've seen it so far in the playoffs. And if you're saying that what can Indiana do to keep themselves in this series, it's their ability to be able to catch a good game from almost like 5 or 6 or 7 different people on any given night, and then it would be the inability for OKC just to hem one player in and expect that that's going to be good enough because nobody else will make shots around him.
So let's continue talking about those ancillary players. Take out Shea, take out Chet, take out Siakam, and Halliburton. Who's the next most important player in the series?
Oh boy, are we taking out Jalen Williams?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, you can take out the other All-Star. That's
a
fine.
bit of a three-headed monster.
I was trying to go 2-2 with OKC, but yeah, take out the other All-Star. Jalen Williams out.
Okay.
No Siakam, no Halliburton, no Holmgren, no Williams, no Shea.
I would say Aaron Nesmith would be the next best player in the series. He's a guy that both offensively, you saw even when the minute that he got injured in that Knicks series, the defense on Jalen Brunson that he was playing was spectacular. It just was. He was getting through every single screen, making it very, very difficult. And he'll be, to me, the guy that will spend the most time on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Not that you're going to stop him, but certainly from an effort standpoint and a close down space, and you're going to have to shoot over an outstretched hand every single time. Aaron Nesmith is that guy, and then he gives you offense on the flip side of it. The Indiana Pacers might not even be here if he didn't make 6 3-pointers in the last 3 minutes of the game of game one, in which then Tyrese Halliburton hit the one that hit bounces way up off the rim and back down in to send it to overtime. Tyrese Halliburton's shot gets the majority of the headlines. But Aaron Nesmith going completely scorching hot fire, was the reason they were even in that position in the first place. And if they lose that game, maybe it's the Knicks in this series. So I would go with him for sure. Alex Caruso will have, obviously a big hand in things from a defensive standpoint. They can just throw waves of defenders, wing defenders at you from the OKC side. But I'm looking at Aaron Nesmith. I'm looking at Andrew Nembhard as well. I just think that he is a player that is a total X factor kind of guy. Didn't shoot the three very well last year during the regular season, shooting it amazing in the postseason, almost 50%. And the kind of guy that draws your third or fourth best defender. So now he can work against a weaker defender.
Demps, looking at this from a bit of a Nuggets perspective, you go back to the 22-23 run for the championship for the Denver Nuggets. There was a player that averaged a very few minutes per game on Michael Malone's bench, both in the regular season and in the postseason. And Thomas Bryant, the 6'10", 250-pound big, who is now playing meaningful minutes. And when you watch that series against the Knicks, he was impactful on the defensive end and doing some of the things that you would have loved to have had off the bench for the Nuggets. What do you make of Thomas Bryant? And could he have been a piece for the Nuggets to have spelled Nikola Jokic down the stretch, maybe in these past 2 years of postseason play?
I'm very happy for Thomas Bryant, who is actually one of the best humans you'll ever meet. So to see him playing this well, I'm actually not surprised because you know what? The thing about it is when he was in Washington and then with the Lakers, like he played really well. He played just like this, and it was only when he got to the Nuggets that things started to fall apart. And I just think he got it also in his own head. Actually, I know he got in his own head. And things just spiraled out of control. So I don't think he could ever have been a piece here, just given like he put too much pressure on himself. He just wasn't playing his brand of basketball. And I think sometimes you just got to get that scenery changed. And so when he was able to do that now in Indiana, this is the guy that, I know that as Nuggets fans, we were expecting to see here. And it's the guy he's playing exactly how he's supposed to play. He's been playing for the majority of his career. And I think he's going to be a player that they will use a lot. I mean, Oklahoma City is not very shy about putting two bigs on the floor. And there's not a ton of bigs on that Indiana Pacers roster. And he's the kind of guy that can help you win a rebounding battle, which they're going to need. Obviously, you can help defend one of those two guys, especially if it's Chet, because if you're going to have Miles Turner and Thomas Bryant, which they definitely want to stay away from that. But if they do, Thomas Bryant on Chet would be the one that would be the matchup that you want defensively, just because he could kind of push him around a little bit. So, no, it's just really good to get him to see him get back to being very active on the court. Like when he was at his best, and he was very bouncy, getting all the rebounds, attacking the offensive glass, being very strong in the paint, and to see him do those things, and then to add in a couple of 3-point makes as well. I would expect that he'll have at least a game where you look at him and you go, they won that game because he came in and gave them 15 good minutes.
All right, Demps, we'll let you get out of here on this one. Give me a series prediction. What happens? Game 1 tonight, 6:30 on ABC. The Thunder hosting the Pacers. How does this series play out?
Well, look, I think it's a high-scoring series. I really do. I think it's going to be aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So for any casual fan out there who it's kind of like, I don't know if I want to see. You definitely want to see these two teams play. They will play a fun, open-style basketball. And having said that, I have OKC, but I have them in 7. I think that the Pacers are a little underrated here, and it's a good basketball team. Rick Carlisle is a super smart, and getting you into a disadvantaged situation defensively and then attacking that immediately and getting to the rim or creating an open 3-point look, I think over time that'll be a little bit of a problem for an OKC Thunder team who, as you guys well know, is very it's cool with leaving some open shooters to get to the defensive matchups that they really want, the players that they really want to shut down. That's not necessarily a thing that can be a significant thing in this series, and I think Indiana will ride that and push this to 7, but OKC ultimately, with just a deeper, better team, will win it.
What you said right there about leaving open shooters against the Nuggets, it was the perfect play, and you're so right, Demps. It's a great breakdown against the Pacers. That might be destructive and be the ultimate death sentence for OKC if they choose that battle.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's a team that, look, it's when you're facing Indiana and look, Oklahoma City to a lesser extent, but they just have they have really good pieces just in different, like, specialized pieces. But I think when you're talking about the future of what NBA teams will look like and how will be built, it's like the Indiana Pacers. We're going to see a lot of teams that look like Indiana. They're going to try to look like Oklahoma City, but they don't have the high-end talent necessary. But like the Indiana Pacers, if you have the one guy that can really drive offensive production and drive consistency on both sides of the ball, and they have that with Tyrese Halliburton, then what you can do around that player is put a lot of straight line drive, great shooting, ball handling, and then put them in a motion system and then dare anybody to double team one guy because you can get it out of his hands, swing, open 3-point shot from a guy who will most certainly make it.
Christopher Dempsey of Altitude TV. Follow him on Instagram and Twitter at Chris A. Dempsey. Dempsey, we appreciate you, brother, and we will talk to you next week and catch up with you rather after the first 3 or 4 games of the finals.
No doubt. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you.
My guy, Christopher Dempsey. Don't go anywhere. On the other side, we've been talking a lot about how Brock Nelson and his signing affects the Avs moving forward into the future, the players that are on the chopping block, some free agents that the Avs might be able to kick the tires on this year to get to where the Edmonton Oilers are, right on the cusp of hoisting another cup. That and NFL notes that come up at 11:15. It's Altitude.
Hey, Colorado, here's your real estate update right now. And I'm talking about my guy, Barry Remington at the WK Real Estate. And I just got off the phone with him earlier this week, and he talked about what kind of market it is right now. And he said it is a buyer's market right now. So if you're interested in relocating or potentially changing the area in which you live, you want to upgrade, maybe downsize your home, it's a great time right now for a buyer. So don't underestimate what a seller will do right now to get a deal done. Barry's talked about that he's got more inventory than he's had in over 10 years, which is awesome for buyers. Check out barryremington.com Remington.com to see what their inventory is. And there's houses all over the Boulder, Denver, Louisville, down all the way through Arvada, markets that are just absolutely spectacular. So right now, sellers can even help buy down the buyer's interest rate to make the monthly payment even more affordable. It's a great opportunity for buyers, but you need someone who knows how to take advantage of this and this type of market without losing the home that you want. So go ahead, check out my guy, BarryRemington.com. He is the guy that you want to get into the market with and check out all the different properties that he has, and he'll go to work for you on other properties and work out great deals between other realtors and agents as well. So check out BarryRemington.com. They serve Boulder, Denver, and beyond.
You're Andy Dufresning the thing?
We did.
You're just taking little handfuls of sand and just dumping it out of your pocket in the yard?
That's exactly what happened. We brought Minnesota.
You're Shawshank in Minnesota and
brought Minnesota
into
with
Big
us.
Ten land.
That's exactly what we did. So we went and played at Wisconsin, jump around. And we'd have our team come out real tight so nobody could see what we're doing. Hey, get in tighter. And then we'd spread out all of the Minnesota field onto Camp Randall's stadium.
Shawshank Redemption.
So good, man.
The Oilers are bringing shavings of ice from all of their players' childhood home rinks and placing them on the surfaces that they are skating on in the NFL, the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Coach did that when he was at Minnesota. Shawshank in the field. That's what you should call it. You really should. Dufresning the field. We'll get back into some NFL stuff and J.K. Dobbins and whether or not he's a fit here, whether or not the Broncos have to go out and get him. There is a little bit of a contract hang up with Dobbins, though. LA put some sort of designation on him, some sort of free agency designation. So I don't think you could get him as cheap as you would if he was just a complete free agent. So you might have to pay a little bit for him. I think it's somewhere in like the 3+ range. I'll take a look into that before NFL notes. We'll get into that in a couple minutes. But the big story yesterday was the Brock Nelson signing, right? 3 years, $7.5 million on an average basis. The Avs now have their second line center. We talked a lot about how Edmonton overcomes the lack of depth because their top end players perform above top end performance when it matters the most. That's the reason why they were able to get to Game 7 last year, why they're up 1-0 in the Cup Finals. I do think that McFarland, Sakic, and Bednar looked at the Avs when Rantanen was here and went, are we going to get Draisaitl level production out of Mikko? And I think the answer, rightly, was no. Because there is a little bit of a drop-off from Draisaitl to Rantanen. Both excellent players, both elite, both Hall of Famers. Future Hall of Famers, without a doubt. Like, I think Mikko probably put a stamp on that with now he has that, he has the Heisman moment, right? That hat trick coming up against the Avs and the big time goals in 3 straight games. Then he becomes Mikko Rantanen again and just disappears for a few games. He got that stamp. But there's different levels of Hall of Famers. And Draisaitl is, when he decides to hang him up, he's an all-time great. Rantanen will be a great. I don't see him being an all-time great.
But you've said for a long time, Raj, that Mikko Rantanen is without question a Hall of Famer.
He is. He's a shoe-in Hall of Famer.
Okay. So then he is a great. He's
a great. He's not, I don't put him as like an all-time great. I think Draisaitl is going to be up there. He'll have the accolades. Yeah. They're going to win the Cup.
The 2020.
Eventually, whether it's this year or later.
The Leon Draisaitl's year in 2020, absolutely ridiculous.
What did he do in 2020?
I mean,
137 points, something crazy like that.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I mean, he mopped up with the awards in the 2020 season. Just pulling up his 2020 was a
not as many. 110 points.
110 points.
But he had 110 points in 71 games. That's ridiculous.
Stupid. I think he won. He won 3 different awards that year.
He won the Hart, the Ross, the Pearson in that season. He won the Richard this year.
Highly decorated player.
Yeah. And I think that the Avs looked at that and said, we have a Hall of Famer in Mikko. We don't have an all-time great like Edmonton does, so we can't afford paying those guys that type of money and expect that they're going to outperform that contract and carry us to a Cup final like McDavid and Draisaitl do for an Edmonton team that isn't as deep as most finals contenders normally are. And I think that's the reason why you move on from Rantanen and why you do sink $500,000 more than you needed to in Brock Nelson to make sure that you now have depth.
Raj, you said something yesterday, if we go back to the Brock Nelson discussion. You said something yesterday that really, it stuck with me and not in a good way. And it was one of those comments that just kind of like a little bit of a thorn in my side as I was driving home yesterday. And then even this morning about 4:30 a.m., I'm driving in to ball practice. And you said something about in response to Nathan McKinnon and potentially the Marty Natchez not being not enjoying his time per se. It's been loosely reported. I call it like maybe if it's accurate or not. Some of it might be because of the bristly nature, the stoic nature, the lack of joy nature of Nathan McKinnon. You mentioned Brock Nelson is somebody that in his time in Colorado, you also have observed that he's got a little bit of that too, where you don't see the love and joy and passion of the fun of the game of hockey like we do see with Gabe Landeskog. And I didn't like that, but I thought about it a little bit more. He's been on the island for a really long time. He's played for the Islanders franchise forever. His family was back in New York. When you are dealt right around the trade deadline,
they ain't coming with you.
No, you're solo. And you know what else you feel like in that time? In those 19 remaining regular season games? You feel like a hired mercenary. You don't really feel like you're ingrained and embedded in the culture of the team.
I see that.
And so that I do think that you bring your family with you. You start just, now that you're probably for at least 30 years, you are a Colorado Avalanche player and a significant part of that. And I think that we're going to see, I'm hoping that Brock Nelson is the type of player that can read the room and realize, hey, there's one Nathan McKinnon. I need to let Nate be Nate, and I need to rediscover the joy of the game of hockey for this second line. Because it's a great line. We'll see how it all plays out. But if you can bring that type of element, knowing that his roots are settled here in Colorado, I think we'll see a little bit of a different Brock Nelson.
I completely agree. I think it's going to be a good thing. His career high in points in a single season is 75 back in 22-23. I think he can hit that number. Now, bringing him in means that you're going to have to say goodbye to a few people, right? It's very likely that Jonathan Drouin is not back. It is growing ever more likely that Ryan Lindgren probably won't fit in on this team. The Avs only have $1.2 million in cap space. And I brought up a couple of players yesterday that would now be available for trade just because of the number that they're making and the amount of years left on the contract. Those players are Girard, Manson, Colton, Wood, Coyle, Natchez are all players that you could move on from if there's a willing trade participant. And the most likely happens to be Sam Girard. And I do think I have a spot for him right there. When we talk about trades, it's always, well, does another team want you? And Girard, you're still trading. If you end up doing this, could be because you want space and you want to continue to get deeper. If you were to trade Girard's contract at $5 million, he's still a good enough and a young enough player with a very edible salary that I think a lot of teams would like him. He's a good piece on a lot of teams.
Who's hungry for some Sammy G contract?
I think San Jose.
Okay.
The Sharks have a budding young defenseman, but that's kind of it. Like San Jose
typically plays very nicely with the Avs. They do a nice job of picking up some of the pieces, if you will.
Greer makes some questionable decisions. And I think you could maybe get one over on San Jose here. You look at their depth chart. Their back end with Timmy Liljegren and Desjardins. They had Ferraro, but I believe he's going into a UFA year. I don't know if they're going to be able to extend him. They need defensemen. And they're still a few years away. Like, they've got $41 million in cap space. They can fit Sam Girard. They actually need to fit Sam Girard in because they have to get to the cap floor. I think San Jose is a perfect team to trade. If you're looking to move cap space, move him to San Jose for a second-round draft pick, I think you could do it. And then you utilize that money to go out onto the open market and maybe sign some more guys.
Sammy G might be on the move. Most likely a legitimate trade candidate for the Colorado Avalanche. Raj, we've talked a lot about Jonathan Drouin. And since his acquisition from Montreal in 2023, how would you quantify his tenure as a member of the Colorado Avalanche? Is what appears to be coming to an end.
He's the next Avs player to get the Colorado bump, to get the Burakovsky money in Seattle, to get the Kadri. He's not going to get Kadri money, but to get the Kadri bump in Calgary, where you play in the top 6 with the Avalanche, you're going to put up points. Right, so this is a little bit of a renaissance for Jonathan Drouin as a former top 3 pick himself, where he burst onto the scene and then he signed the big deal in Montreal and didn't really show up. Then he comes back with Nathan McKinnon. He turns back into the great puck distributor that he is when he plays alongside elite talent. He did well here. I think the Avs need to move on from him because he has played himself out of that $2 million price range, where at $2.5 million, I could go, I might be able to fit Jonathan Drouin in, although I don't like what he does in the postseason. I think he has played himself into a $4 million range, and that makes him not a fit.
You realize he was a number 3 overall pick?
Yeah. In Nathan McKinnon's draft. He and Nathan McKinnon were teammates in Halifax. McKinnon went number 1. I don't know who went number 2 that year. Drouin went 3, and Seth Jones went number 4 to Nashville. I don't know who went number 2, but it was 2013 NHL entry draft. Who went number 2 after McKinnon? Barkov? Alexander Barkov, maybe?
2013 NHL draft was Seth Jones was it first overall?
No. McKinnon was first overall.
Oh, that was a ranking.
McKinnon went first. I think Barkov goes second. Drouin 3, Jones 4.
Yep, and then Lindholm 5.
Elias Lindholm? Solid pick.
Yeah, good player.
Solid pick. I mean, he's certainly not the 4 players ahead of him.
Number 10 overall?
Number 10 overall in that draft.
This is going to be amazing.
For Colorado?
It was
the team.
It was for the Dallas Stars.
For the Dallas Stars that year?
Plays for the Avs.
He plays for the Avs right now. Who's the former star that plays on Colorado right now?
Drafted by the Stars.
Drafted by the Stars, but plays with Colorado. Oh, Valerian Nichushkin.
Yes! Same draft.
There you go. I love going through drafts, man. It's
That's actually pretty cool.
It's my favorite.
How about 16th overall?
To who? I need
Buffalo
the team.
Sabres from Minnesota.
Sam Reiner. No, he was a top 10 pick, top 5 pick.
Nikita Zadorov.
He was part of the part of that big trade that brings him. He was a good player. Again, he's another guy that got that big bump because he played here for a couple of teams after he moved on from the Avs.
And that's about it. Of good players in that draft.
One thing I want to touch before we get out of here, coming up at 11:45. There's another name that I want to ask you guys out there, and hold on to it for a few minutes because we're going to talk some NFL coming up on the other side of the break. Avs fans, if I could tell you that Jonathan Taves, former captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, could be an Av for the vet minimum, would you say yes to it? Because I think I would.
Altitude Sports Radio 92.5 presents KJ's NFL Notes.
Why are you smiling?
Because I love football. Football's fun.
Fun, sir.
Fun, sir.
It's fun.
Brought to you by Mountain High Appliance. Locally owned and operated since 1993. Colorado's most complete appliance store.
All right, listen up.
Every day here on the Morning Sprint, we go through the biggest stories in the National Football League with KJ's NFL Notes. Mr. Granderson, take it away.
Former Ravens and Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins was in Denver last night to have dinner with the Broncos coaches and visit the Broncos facility today, per Tom Pelissero and Mike Klis. Dobbins had 1,084 yards from scrimmage and 9 touchdowns last season, and he has a career average of just north of 5 yards a carry for his career. What would his role be, and who would be most affected by it if J.K. Dobbins were to sign with Denver?
I think the guy that might end up being in danger of at least fighting for an active roster spot on game day would be Audric Estime, because that's your physical, bigger back that should be in his second year vying for at least a role as a protection-based third down specialist and also a short yardage and goal line specialist. J.K. Dobbins does both of those things incredibly well. And so I don't think that this would really impact R.J. Harvey, other than the fact that Sean Payton might actually rely on J.K. Dobbins, a veteran, a little bit more at that position, like Sean Payton has shown in back-to-back years, that he likes his vets toting the rock. Audric Estime is the guy that's going to have to step it up. But J.K. Dobbins, frankly, if you bring him in and pay him $3 to $4 million annually, you're probably going to end up using him a whole heck of a lot more than your 5th-round draft pick in 2024.
Likely. And if he stays on the field, again, that's the reason why he's not a Charger right now. That's the reason why they only just tendered him. He currently has a $1.64 million June 1st tender on the table for the Chargers. So that means if the Broncos sign Dobbins for more than that amount, or more than about like $3 million rather, they end up like canceling out the possible compensatory pick in 2026 that they're going to get for Riley Dixon leaving and going to the Buccaneers. If you're okay with canceling out a compensatory 7th-round draft pick for a guy that's going to help you on third down, I think it's probably worth it, right? Like, if you told me that you were able to get J.K. Dobbins in the 7th round of this year's NFL draft, would you say yes?
Yes.
The answer is yes. So I do hope that they sign him. I think you say it's something that they desperately need.
It's a big need.
If they don't sign Dobbins, does it make you feel any different than what you felt about the Broncos before hearing this news?
It's almost forced helplessness. Like, learned helplessness is when you throw somebody out into throw a 5-year-old kid that's never been taught how to swim into a pool and figure it out. That's essentially what would happen with Audric Estime.
Are you supposed to do that with like 18-month-olds?
Yeah, that just seems...
Don't the 5-year-olds sink?
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, I don't love it.
You're the father. I'm not there yet.
We did like the tiny swimmers classes.
Launch them in there. Have fun.
No, we actually just like did it the old school way of teaching them how to, or paying a couple $100 to teach them how to swim. Yeah, and I don't think they just launched them into the pool and said, "Hey, figure it out." Payton, Sanford.
Have you seen those videos, though?
Oh, it's pretty cool,
People
actually.
just, like, launch their toddlers into the water, and they end up being kind of fine?
Or you have, like, a...
I mean, you guys understand, like, I'm not advocating doing this without, having professionals there for you, so please take it with a grain of salt.
Please don't throw your babies into the pool.
Please don't do that.
It's not an ideal... You heard it here first from Raj. Throw your baby into a pool and just
don't leave
figure it
your
out.
18-month-old unattended in a body of water.
So what I was going to ultimately get to is that J.K. Dobbins, if you sign him, then Audric Estime is in trouble. You don't sign him, Audric Estime's he's got to figure this thing out quickly, and I hope he does. I love Audric Estime, but I just want to see him take the next step of earning the trust of Sean Payton. I heard somebody say that Sean Payton trusts him plenty. Well, all we have to go off of is roster decisions last season. All the other stuff, off-season press conferences and saying, yeah, I love him. He's going to get plenty of opportunities. until you get those opportunities, all we can go off is the fact that he was not on the active roster as a healthy scratch in playoff appearance against the Buffalo Bills.
They're going to sign him. I got a great feeling about it. They're going to sign him.
And it'll be great news for the Denver Broncos. Great news.
Is he worth a win? One win?
He's worth sleeping a whole lot better at night as a coach and as a quarterback. Just because you know that he knows. Right now, you don't know that your backfield knows or can physically do it as a pass protector or a pile mover on short yardage situations. J.K. Dobbins.
If you get healthy J.K. Dobbins, watch out, man. Watch out. Do it. Sign him. KJ, what's next?
I'll get with you when we do.
One thing,
Perfect.
One thing we have not gotten into this offseason are the odds that PS2 could win another Defensive Player of the Year. Well, Talanoa Hufanga stopped by the Insider Show on NFL Network to talk about his role alongside PS2 and what did it take to help PS2 win another one?
I'm definitely learning. I guess, watching him, I've studied a lot of tape on him to begin with. Just what he does on the field is unbelievable. He shuts down a whole entire side, and that just makes your job easier, makes the other guys on the team easier. And for me, I just want to go out there and make Pat go do it again. I want him to be another Defensive Player of the Year. And what can I do to put him in the best spots to show something else in the disguise and make sure he gets the pick and make sure he ends up in the end zone if I can get a block. So just things like that. I love playing with guys like that. And we got a bunch of dogs. So it's not just Pat, but there's a bunch of guys out there that can play.
I love the thoughtfulness of Talanoa Hufanga. When he mentioned if you look at the game of football through Talanoa Hufanga's play style in his eyes, what he said about PS2, a lot of times it's a cliche to say that an elite corner takes half of the field and shuts it down. You know what that does for a guy like Talanoa Hufanga, who's like a bit of a rover, eye reader of the quarterback, playmaker? It's almost like he knows that the quarterback's probably not going to go to that side that PS2's on, and that he can be a little bit more cheaty towards the side that the quarterback might be working and get a beat on some of it. And he's probably excited to be able to get some of those picks that he had good corner play in San Francisco, but not to this level.
The list of players who have won back-to-back AP Defensive Player of the Year awards: Lawrence Taylor, J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald. That's it. 3 guys in the history of that award going back to 1971. Now,
first ballot Hall of Famers.
Oh, yeah. A lot of guys have won, 3 and 4 years or something like that. 3 and 5, 2 and 4 stuff. Watt won 3 and 4 between 2012 and 2015. Donald won 3 of 4 between 2017 and 2020. But just 3 players in history, and none of them a cornerback. Could he be the first? If he's the first, he is shoe-in Hall of Famer. You could imagine saying that. He wins Defensive Player of the Year in 2025. Pat Surtain is a shoe-in gold jacket-wearing cornerback as early as next year.
Yep.
Sign
me up. I want it.
In year 5, year 5, you could look at him and go, your career's, it's good enough. It's over. Not over. I mean, the Hall of Fame's not the be-all, end-all. It's a wonderful accolade. You want to win one if you're here as a Bronco, but it's a pretty good 5-year stretch if you can win it.
It's so crazy to think that he is coming up on year 5. He still moves, looks, acts, talks like a first or second year player, which is so cool. And it goes to show you that Pat Surtain he's a consummate professional, takes care of his body at a really high level, and just he maintains that fountain of youth. And I know he's not old, but year 5, man, sometimes you start seeing a little bit of that limp and kind of a little calloused. He still looks like he just loves playing football, and he's just excited every time there's a training camp coming around. He's an awesome Denver Bronco, period, point blank.
The franchise has a sensational alumni base that loves coming back here all the time. And it's even back to the guys talk about another guy who won an AP Defensive Player of the Year. Randy Gradishar is always around this team.
Yep.
So it's not only just the Von Millers and the Champ Baileys and the Peyton Mannings, and obviously John worked with the team in the front office space for many years, but even the older dudes come back all the time. It's also because a lot of these guys kind of stay here and live here after they retire.
Fantastic place to live.
Talk about, you were mentioning Brock Nelson with the Avs and him I said it yesterday, it never felt like he was enjoying his time here, but now that he signs the 3-year deal, the family comes out. You know what a lot of Avs players do, or even non-Avs players? they retire here.
I know.
Guys who never even played for the Avs.
Raj, there's kind of a reason why I'm here.
It's awesome.
And stayed here.
It's fantastic.
Right? Like, I moved 115 times, it felt like, and then I was like, I like this.
This is the place that we stay.
Oh, there's a lot of sun here. You can go skiing. You can play golf. They have great schools. Like, yeah, sign me up. I love this place.
Yeah, the Broncos guys are there too. What's next?
I'll get with you when we do.
In every sports radio market, there's a pot stirrer, and here in Denver, our pot stirrer is. And so let's head to Seattle. Seattle Sports 710 has the Mike McDonald Show, and earlier this week, he was asked a question regarding Sam Darnold's job status in June.
Was out here yesterday. Sam didn't have his best day, obviously a couple of picks, etc. And I guess I almost have to ask, but I hate asking this. Is there anything that could happen other than an injury between now and the beginning of the season that would lead to a different quarterback?
No, you guys are crazy.
There's no way to ask the question without sounding like an idiot.
Like, I respect you got to ask it, but you guys, it's just a crazy question. There's just not going to, Sam's our starting quarterback. We love him. He's doing a tremendous job. I think it's funny that the media is out there for the first day, and all of a sudden they know exactly how good we're going to be and how good all the players are and all the tempos. We don't even put on pads yet. We haven't made one tackle. And it turns out in practice, it's a great way to build culture by letting guys know that they can't make mistakes. That's exactly what we're shooting for. So Go out to practice, be tight, make sure you don't make a mistake, because then God forbid, you're the worst player of all time because you made one bad throw or one bad decision. It's that is not what we're trying to build. We want these guys to go prepare the right way, and then when they go out on the practice field, go freaking let it rip, and then we'll go fix it. We'll go. We got time. It's June. Yeah, that was kind of a crazy question.
Mike McDonald, a great response to the question. Yes, it was crazy. Two, I don't think you had to ask. I don't know who the host was there. I don't think you had to ask that question.
You want to know a little bit of strange Kevin Bacon 7 degrees of separation?
Give it to me.
So this is 710 Seattle Sports, and the show is Brock and Salk. And so that's Brock Heward.
Oh, your dude.
Who is actively coaching with me at Valor Christian. That wasn't him asking the question. That was Mike Salk, the driver. He is the Alex Ryan Nemi of that show in Seattle.
We do ask dumb questions.
And ironically, Raj, I got a text from Brock Heward, said, this was yesterday, day before. Hey, I'm on with Mike McDonald right now. What question would you want me to ask him? How funny is that? It's the weirdest.
What did you say to him? Sam Darnold could be the starting quarterback?
No, I asked him if just because what was fresh in my mind from last year is the disguises of Mike McDonald's defense gave Bo Nix fits in he was a first-time rookie starter. I get it. But he went kitchen sink with disguises. So my question to him, and I don't know if he ever asked it, is how important is that when putting a defense together for Mike McDonald is to build in the possibilities for disguises to confuse a quarterback?
The question about Darnold is more valid if they take a quarterback higher than Milroe.
Jalen Milroe is not going to be an NFL starting quarterback, man.
He's not.
And I know people really like him.
Milroe's not even the backup. You know who the backup is in Seattle?
I don't.
Drew Lock.
Jeez.
You know who's not starting over Sam Darnold? Drew Lock.
Come on, Salk.
Come on. He's the guy.
I actually heard Brock laughing during the question. He's like,
it's because he's looking at Drew Lock and going, that's the guy who's going to make you nervous? Come on. Get out of here. One more, KJ.
I'll get with you when we do.
Well, we had Pastor Derek Carr stop by, and he has a few words he wanted to express to Front Office Sports as he talked about the possibility of taking the money or having surgery.
Hold on real quick. Hey, Raj, let that breathe right there.
I don't have any control over this.
Hold on. Just let that Sunday music breathe for a second.
KJ controls the order.
Let it penetrate deep into your soul. Pastor Derek, take it away and speak to my guy, Raj.
Quote, that part was tough because I didn't want to have surgery and just sit there, and it sounds crazy, but just take the Saints' money. I wouldn't have been able to play if I had the surgery. And then if I tried to play with it, I wasn't near 100%. And so that doesn't help them either. I just felt like it was the right thing to do for myself and for the team. End quote. Do you guys see a world where Pastor Derek Carr can get his shoulder miraculously fixed and make a comeback to the NFL?
Could be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Could be a New York Giant. Could be a Seattle Seahawk.
Nah, he's done, man. He's not. That guy is not playing football ever again. $195 million in career earnings. There's a reason why you go, I don't want to steal $30 million from the Saints. Well, because he's already made damn near 200 in his career. It's crazy. Like, there's very few surgeries that you could put on the table in front of me and say, are you going to turn down $30 million to have this surgery? I would say no, but I also haven't made $195.5 million in my life.
Whether he plays or he doesn't.
He's not. That guy's never playing again in the league.
Well, either
Again.
way, I just want to commend my guy, KJ Granderson, on having the best gospel hour of any sports talk radio show in America. My guy.
It is pretty good. But it's lost on me, you two.
Wait a minute. Whoa.
You know what that sounds like?
Both of you call me a lost heathen soul
Didn't say
every
that.
day.
Didn't say that. I just asked for that.
You look at me like I'm the devil's spawn.
I just asked for that piano music to just kind of pierce into the soul, the organs to get deep into the bones.
Listen, you got to have context here, Roger. The only reason we called you that is because you insisted everybody drink on Easter. Okay, that's why we called you a heathen. That's exactly what you did. Because we were talking about the great sports weekend that was coming up, and you was like, it would be capped off with, some beer on Sunday. And we was like, what are you doing, Raj?
You have wine at church.
No, we don't. Not my church. It's grape juice. We don't have.
You're missing out.
Perfect.
Is there a suggestion box at the church?
Can we start having a Cabernet?
Can you go to confession and be like, Father, I have to confess. I have a problem with you. I'm done with the Welches. Give me a nice salty B.
Raj, the kind of church I go to doesn't have a confession booth. Like, there are churches that exist that have rock bands playing up there that are in power stances.
It's not the ones I was brought up, the Roman Catholic ones I was brought up.
KJ, tell us a little bit about your church.
Listen, that organ you just heard, that is every Sunday, okay? I'm telling you.
All right.
Like, without the organ, if you're not playing the organ, man, there probably isn't some singing going on.
You ain't at church.
All I know is that I got two guys that are looking out for the salvation of my soul, and I appreciate it because I'm not looking out for myself. That's KJ's NFL Notes. It's brought to you every single day by our friends at Mountain High Appliance, Colorado's most complete local appliance store. They have locations in Denver, Louisville, Littleton, Colorado Springs, and Glenwood Springs, and they offer every major appliance line and brand. You can find them at mountainhighappliance.com.
Hey, Colorado, you hear me and Brett Kane talking all the time about Circa and the sportsbook and the app, but Circa is an actual physical place, and I think it is the absolute greatest place to go for a getaway in Las Vegas, Nevada, in old Las Vegas, which is a classic Vegas resort for a new era, and that is Circa Las Vegas Hotel and Casino. It is a sports mecca. My favorite part about going to Circa in Las Vegas, me and Raj were there just a few months ago to watch the Masters, is that there is a pool like no other where you can elevate your pool game with Stadium Swim, with the largest outside sportsbook and screen in America. And then you also have sports betting inside with the largest sportsbook with a massive screen inside as well. So book your trip to Circa, and you can go to the website right now at circalasvegas.com. Right now it's 88 degrees, clear and sunny in Las Vegas. So book your trip at circalasvegas.com.
Rantanen on the loose change, throws on the brakes, turns the puck over. Kane on it in the corner, throws it in front, they score. Man, that is a bad turnover, and it is Jonathan Toews from Patrick Kane who have tied the game up at 1 apiece. You talk about being a little too nonchalant. That was the case with Mikko Rantanen.
Wrapping things up here on a Thursday at the Morning Sprint. Alex Ryanemi alongside the coach, Mike Sanford. Take us wherever you guys want to go on the Altitude Sports Radio mobile app that's powered by the Wilhite Law Firm. Their injury lawyers. Go to wilhitewins.com. That is wilhitewins.com. Connor McGahey on the call there for a player who hasn't seen the ice in the National Hockey League for basically as long as Gabe Landeskog hadn't. And that's Jonathan Toews.
Why is that?
A former Avs killer. So his health issue it's like threefold. It originally started with an injury, and then he had an autoimmune disorder right on top of it. And then there were thoughts of, like, does he have long COVID? Has that with the autoimmune deficiency kind of ended his career? And I thought he was kind of done. He came out and he had one last goodbye to the Chicago fans, but for a player that is now 37, he just turned 37 on April 29th. He is a 3-time Stanley Cup winner. He is a Conn Smythe winner, a Selke Trophy winner. He is a Marc Messier Leadership Award winner. He's part of the NHL's 100 Greatest Players that they came out with back in 2018 for the NHL's 100th anniversary. 883 points, 1,067 games played. He wants to make a comeback. And my question to Avs fans that I put out on Twitter yesterday, and I asked you guys about a half hour ago, was if Jonathan Toews is available for the vet minimum, or let's call it, $1 million to $1.5 million, but kind of vet minimum. Basically what Corey Perry is playing for, or what Zach Parise would have played for on a prorated contract. Would you take Jonathan Toews on the Colorado Avalanche?
Will you throw in Patrick Kane?
I don't think you can get Kane.
Can we just
get both of them?
Get the old 2015 Blackhawks roster back together?
Kane is still producing to a level that he's going to cost too much money. Right. He's going to be a $4 or $5 million guy because last year in Detroit, he showed he still has it. He had some hip resurfacing surgery that helped him. Toews, you have no idea what you're going to get. And he doesn't have to be a center, although that's where he played. He's a very good centerman, especially in the faceoff circle. He can kill penalties. He's very responsible defensively. Again, a Selke Award winner for the best defensive forward in the NHL. I think you could slot him in on your third line. And you then, on your third line, assuming Ross Colton is still here, and again, I think Colton could be a player that could be shipped out to make some cap space on this team. Your third line would then be Charlie Coyle, Ross Colton, and Jonathan Toews. All three of those players.
Taser, is he playing center?
I don't know.
Okay.
He probably would, but that gives you three players that have been centermen in the league, but have also had long periods of time. And Toews, not so much. Toews has basically been a centerman. He has played some wing in certain years, but he's 95% a centerman. You would have three players that you'd go, you can play wing or center. Kind of doing the Dallas Stars thing, the Peter DeBoer thing. They have 9 dudes on Dallas this year that they're comfortable with putting in the middle. I think it would be a really decent idea to kick the tires on.
What did McGahey call it yesterday? He said on the interview when we talked to Connor McGahey, if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, it's a whole heck of a lot of fun. You can listen to it on wherever you get your podcasts. Look up the Morning Sprint. It was hour 1 of yesterday's Morning Sprint episode.
10:20 yesterday. And
he talked about the Mr. Miyagi, or was it the Karate Kid of the NHL is the Colorado Avalanche because you're so center-minded.
You're so centered.
You're so centered. Listen, anytime you can get champions that are hungry, that can bring expertise and experience, you'd be playing with some incredible leaders on the team. And I think it would be a positive. You would have to try out, Raj. Would you have some capacity of knowing what you're getting in terms of the medicals? You'd have to know, Raj.
I don't think Toews would do a professional tryout thing. I think it's sign it and hope that it works. But
And
I
if
also
it
believe that
doesn't-
the money's not going to be a lot. And the good thing about the Avs this year, not having Gabe on long-term injured reserve, the Avs can now sign players, can sign veterans to incentive-laden deals. When you have that much money on LTIR like the Avs had for the past few years, it does a few things. And one of the things it doesn't allow you to sign players to performance bonuses.
How much of the performance bonus world affects the cap? None? Does it affect the cap at all?
I don't believe that it affects the cap.
If anything, it'd be minimal.
Yeah.
So you
I
get,
don't believe that it does. Don't quote me. I'm almost positive it doesn't.
when you look at the Edmonton Oilers and having a player like Corey Perry, who's 40 years old, and who, oh, by the way, just said that he's going to play next year, because why not? Even though his son apparently is talking about him, this might be the end of his run. And a bit of a squirrel moment here. Corey Perry playing for Edmonton.
In the NHL, performance bonuses count. They do count against the cap, but teams have a 7.5% cushion that they're allowed to
Plus
exceed.
minus it.
So
you're good.
you can use it. It counts against it, but once you get past that 7.5%, then it actually starts hurting you against the cap.
So Corey Perry, this player in the last 6 years, we talked about this off the air. 2020, Dallas Stars Stanley Cup final. Loss. 2021, Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup final. Loss. 2022, Tampa Bay Lightning. What do you do?
Lost to the Avs.
2024, Edmonton Oilers.
Lost to Florida. He's got a chance. He'll get it done.
But you know what's cool about him? If you go all the way back to 2007, he hoisted Lord Stanley at Anaheim.
Yeah, with Anaheim.
How
Ryan
cool is that?
Getzlaff.
2007.
Teemu Solani was on that team. Jean-Sebastian Giguère, I think, was their goaltender, if I'm correct. Former Av, Jean-Sebastian Giguère. I think Jiggy was the goalie in 2007. It was either that or it was Jonas Hiller, the Swiss.
You know what's really messed up about you talking about Jonathan Toews? Is that now I'm all screwed up on my Toews.
You have two tasers?
Well, it took me a while when Devon Toews signed with the Avs to get the fact that he wasn't Jonathan Toews.
Jiggy was the goalie.
And if you had Jonathan and Devon Toews on the same roster, I don't know if I could function in the Toews space. And who's the taser?
The taser would be Devon Toews. You'd have to find another nickname for Jonathan Toews. Taser would be Devon because he already has it here. He's the incumbent.
Is Jonathan Toews not the OG taser?
Probably the OG taser.
Probably?
Probably. Like, he's a 3-time Cup champion.
He's like arguably one of the top. He's a top 100 player in the history of the NHL.
Yeah, he's part of that team. I mean, there's a subset of the fan base that will go, I don't want him here because of what happened with Kyle Beach and the sexual assault with the video coach out in Chicago, because it gets into the Joe Paterno thing. How much did you know? How much, and will we ever know how much?
How long ago was that? Was it 16?
I can't remember when that all came to the forefront. 16, 17, 18, something like that was when it all started coming out. So that's a question there. How much did you know? How much were you willing to look the other way on? Now, Taves and Kane have both said we didn't know anything. Like, the locker room didn't know anything about this. So at this point, you have to take them for their word on it. In terms of the player and the potential of that player, I take a flyer on him. I put him on my third line. I mess around with him and Coyle. It also gives you the ability that if you sign him, you can trade Coyle and save a bunch of money against the cap with that 5.25. Every dollar, every cent counts for the Avs, man. And I like winners. I like bags. I like rats. Maddie just texted in there. Taves is a rat. He's got some bag in him. Bags win cups, man.
And bands make you dance.
Kick the tires. Sign Jonathan Taves tomorrow. That'll do it for us. For Coach Mike Sanford, for KJ Granderson behind the glass, I'm Alex Ryan. Don't go anywhere. PhD is coming up next. Game 1 of the NBA Finals tonight. OKC and Indy on ABC at 6:30. See you tomorrow at 10.
Well, welcome to it. What a gorgeous day, and we are ready to get into it with the Broncos. Oh, my God. We got open Muggle access to the OTAs. Information will be leaking out. Yeah, they're not supposed to put anything out there until practice is over. I don't know if we have any misbehaving Muggles there, Dan, that are leaking information. I know Vic's out there. I know Tyler's out there. I know Andy's out there. I know OTA Grizz is out there. I know Jeff Legwald is out there. So we're
well, Sean's speaking today too, so we'll carry a little bit of that one.
We will carry that live in about 13 minutes. I'll tell you what they did last week, Scotty. They were on time with everything.
What?
They opened the doors on time. They had the press conferences on time. They were just
I was here for the press conference.
Just like it was like a
well-oiled machine.
Swiss watch. So that's all still to come. How you doing, my friend? What's
Good.
going on? How you doing?
This the last week they do this, and then
No. Tomorrow, next week is woof. Next week is mandatory minicamp.
Everybody gets to go. Oh, that's when. Let's see if you show up.
Well, next week is yeah. I mean, you gotta. You're like
so Ellis, who did not come to the OTAs.
John Franklin Myers.
Or Myers, yeah, Myers.
He'll be here next week.
But he'll be here next week.
His agent said he'll be here next week. Now, the question is, does Sean cut the guys loose a day?
Which would be Thursday, right?
Which would be Thursday, or do they just work a vicious 3-day week until they have 6 weeks off?
Why wouldn't you just go ahead and work it? Because you have 6 weeks after that.
Scott, I have asked this question for the better part of 15 years about this day.
And I know Tyler makes fun of him, but in reality, get the work in. And then if you want to do something fun and good for the kids, bring in the ice cream truck afterwards, and then okay.
You know what, Scott? We work here. When's the last time you did a basketball game there for Altitude TV and there was an ice cream truck waiting for you when you walked out the door because you did a great job of broadcasting? Or did you just leave after a day of work?
Well,
I'm not saying you don't have access to ice cream.
Yeah,
you work at Ball Arena. There's Dippin' Dots all over the place.
When you're developing a team, though, you got to find, I think, and it would go for radio too.
Okay.
I think good leaders do special extra things that no one was expecting.
Okay.
And I think that is a good sign of team building and camaraderie.
Well, can I tell you something we should do here at the good old radio station? We should have something special for ourselves this Friday, or the Friday after that, because the talk show year essentially ends.
ends for 6 weeks. Well, hey, can I say something?
The talk show season.
Can I say something?
It's a long season, the talk show season.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Now is the time next week. Let's hope the Nuggets make a whole lot of noise. And every other day, then the Avs start making, and we get about 2 weeks of noise.
Okay, I'd welcome it.
That'd be good.
But I'm just telling you, if we look at our talk show season, sports never completely ends.
Yeah.
But the day after the last day of mandatory minicamp, going to the first day of training camp, that's the off season for talk radio. That's when you get the.
Let me ask this: is it the off-season talk radio in Boston?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
So the Red Sox aren't big news during the summer?
It's June and July baseball. It ain't nothing is that important.
So
I
after
swear to God.
the 4th of July, though, if you're in the mix, does it pick up a little bit?
No.
See, I grew up in the Midwest.
Not really.
And at the time, and it's big Cardinals.
Yeah.
Like in Arkansas, like the Cardinals had forever. I think Little Rock's minor league team forever was the Cardinals. I don't know if it's still. So they had tons of Cardinals fans. I know it's a little small place, but from St. Louis down to Dallas, you could talk Cardinals baseball.
I guess you could, but you ain't grinding out. In July 6th, you're not grinding out like the Cardinals against the Padres 3-game set.
No, not unless you start debating the manager's choice of not hitting and running in the 7th with a runner on first. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I don't care how deep in the playoff.
Well, that's what I think. Well, listen,
I'm telling you.
You got on me and went and told Kevin on me because that's how I feel about mock drafts.
You were wrong about mock drafts.
No, I was absolutely 100% right about mock drafts.
Wrong about the mock. That's blasphemy. No, we should have a big. We should have a big party here. I'm telling you. You want ice cream trucks to show up for talk radio? It's June 15th, whatever it is.
So
that Friday, we should celebrate.
You and I get together and see if there's one of those dessert trucks, because listen,
we should get it. I bet you we got people in dessert trucks listening right now.
And listen, and we come in next Friday. And here's the thing: for anybody wanting to step up and do that, we'll blow up in the radio. You're only going to have to treat like 5 people.
Okay.
I mean, right?
Well, that's it.
I mean, a week from tomorrow.
So let me ask you: Would you rather have to work on the last day of talk show season, June 15th, or would you rather just not have to work at all? Would you rather just never mind, do whatever you want to do?
Well, unlike you, I like doing this.
Oh my Lord, I'm going to throw up a little bit if I hear that. Listen, I like doing this too, brother. But talk show season has a season. It's a long season.
I think you're just quitting.
Sports talk season is long.
See, if I've always looked at the summertime as, hey, it's time to fight now. Let's go. see who can fight for this.
Now Hastings wants a piece.
You just took 2 days off for your birthday on Monday and Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dan Scott wasn't here for this job he loves so much on his birthday.
That's
he wasn't
because of the stupid things you guys did. I like under the radar.
Stupid things. You're just ripping our listeners.
And by the way, you're going to be gone for your birthday now.
Hell yeah.
You see? So
hypocrite.
Listen.
Yeah, but my birthday's on a Sunday, so I'd be off anyway.
410, 610, we're all the same though.
410, 610. You're a jerk. Really?
I didn't want to
410.
Would have been better if I said 510.
Dude, when you're my size, every freaking inch counts. There's no summing things
up. So
up.
510 to 610, we're all the same.
Boy, you're calling me 5'10"? Wow.
I went in to give you props mode.
Now I'm glowing. Oh, this is funny. Hey, dumb Mac. I love you too. You have a little get-together for ice cream when you have worked hard. You'll never have an ice cream party because what you do is not hard, period.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks. Like John Elway once told me, and I'll come over there and do your job.
Cool story, bro.
No, next week is a big Broncos. We'll see what Sean does. I bet I wouldn't be surprised if he tells him Thursday, see ya. It's fine. We've been together since early April. They have. It's enough. It's enough time.
Yeah, but it's 6 weeks. So hey, we're doing an extra week of conditioning. Great. I think that's fantastic.
Right, then we're going to take 6 weeks off.
But now take 6 weeks off.
It's the stupidest schedule of all time.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I've asked football guys, like, do you even need this? In a very condescending, I don't think you really need this sort of DMac way. And they all, oh no, we got to this, that. I'm like, okay. I mean, the NBA does have a summer league, but the summer league's for young guys who normally aren't playing, and Christian Brown's brother.
Well, but yeah, and there's no mandatory stuff. Although I know there are vets that will come up there during the week because they after the draft they'll have like 4 or 5 days of practice before they go to Vegas.
Yeah,
they'll be used to be vets would show up and at least get a run, be able to get a run in the middle of the summer.
I saw. Oh my God. There was somebody who was getting a run. Who's that? The white dude from the Celtics, that guard there, 6th man of the year. Help me.
The little bitty guy.
Who's that dude?
Did you see his video on his ball handling thing?
Yeah, I didn't see that, but gosh, help me. Look it up there, Dan. He pulls up for like a run, just some sort of summer league something or other. Put up 61 points.
Oh yeah.
and the title was just a reminder. NBAers, and he is a little guy. He might be a 6-footer, that sort of thing.
Payton
Pritchard.
Go look up. Hey, Dan, see if you can see it. Find Payton Pritchard ball handling drills. I saw it yesterday. You'll watch this and go,
yeah, they're different.
Oh my gosh,
they don't look different because we're so used to just watching the NBA. But you put them up against. This is why when it came up about the Rockies going against the college baseball World Series champs, I got a little, red ass on that one.
Well, listen, I remember when I first got into sports talk, they used to, in fact, they did this in the 50s. What was not the NFL back then, but the football champions would play the college All-Americans.
You're going back.
Yeah, but that was like in the 50s. I think up into the 50s, maybe in the 60s, because I think Logan told me he played in one of those games. Watch this, Joe. If you can see it on there. Watch this thing right here.
All right. Oh, yeah, that's sick. It's just ball's very low to the ground. He's walking forward and backwards
the
between his legs.
The ball's no more than 2 inches off the ground.
Figure eights between his legs.
Turning completely around. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, it's sick. I was watching a Pete Maravich Red Auerbach ball handling video.
I got those videos.
That's super old, but so what? Ball handling's ball handling.
I bought those videos when I was a high school coach, and we did half of them either in the summer times in camps or before games before practice.
Can you do that for 5 minutes every day? Well, youngsters?
Used to.
Yeah, if you cared.
Yeah.
Like this show.
Well, here's the cool thing.
Prepare?
Don't you think there's a handful of sports that by yourself you can get better at?
I think you can get better at every sport by yourself. I think
I'm trying to figure out football.
Sure, there's a million things you can do.
Yeah, maybe. I
Million things you can do.
I know soccer, there's plenty of stuff you can do by yourself.
Million things.
Baseball,
million things. It's a better sport by yourself, frankly, to get ready.
But how do you hit if you don't have anybody else with you?
Well, all right. So
in your backyard, how are you getting by?
You get a bucket of balls and a tee. I mean, it's not great, it's not exciting, but you can work on it. You can work high zone, low zone, inside. You can put 2 balls, 2 tees, hit 1 ball, avoid the other ball. There's 10 million. I mean, they're boring. They're boring ass drills, brother. And then by yourself, fielding work. There's a gajillion things you can do just fielding work.
I know this sounds stupid. My parents got me when I was like, oh gosh, 8, 9, somewhere in there, a pitchback machine.
Yeah, those things are stupid.
When
I had one too.
Pitchback net. Mine was great.
It was?
I basically would spend hours by myself throwing in the thing.
There you go.
And then field, and I didn't have a flat surface, so I'm catching grounders off this thing that are.
It works.
That were thing. I think it made me. I was a good fielder.
We got to take a break because Sean Payton's about to speak. Okay. Well, we have tons of time to go over it.
Yeah, I think you're on vacation already.
Hell no. Grind stone to the nose. Close. We'll come back with Sean Payton next. That's a little premature there. Hey, it's DMac for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. When dealing with the issue of erectile dysfunction, you want the right treatment for every specific medical situation you got. So listen, ED, who needs it? Who wants it? Have the summer of love, not the summer of depression.
Oops.
Whatever your summer is. Listen, it can be better with the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic when the pills or herbals don't work. Uh-oh. Well, they'll get you going. They got success rates well over 90%. Initial visit's $99. You get that consult, a T and a PSA test if advised, a test of. If it doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Like an expert, they can get you going, have you having sex the day after the appointment. Okay. 720-440-7900. RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. Oh, I love it, man. Talk about a nice summer ride. This is where you roll the windows down, you crank the radio, put on those tight blue jeans, maybe a tank top, golden brown hair, sizzles in the summer sun.
I think we do tank top Fridays.
Woo! Go for that. Knock your socks off on Tank Top Friday.
And Tank Top Friday tomorrow?
You guys go for it. I totally support your rights to wear tank tops.
Well, you just set it out. What a day to ride tank tops.
Yeah, but not me.
By the way, they're not called tank tops anymore. It's bro tanks.
Bro tanks?
Bro
Put on your bro tanks.
I just got a package of 3 bro tanks for my birthday.
Nice, Scotty.
Keep lifting them weights. Keep showing off them guns. Jeez.
Oh, now I got to get on this.
Crazy old man strength.
It is old man.
Well, whatever. I mean, somebody might be able to outrun you, but God forbid you catch him.
Yeah, they're in trouble in those first 4 minutes, man.
If they can run around and you trip and fall over, so be it.
Yeah.
But if you grab them by the shirt tail, they're in trouble. I'll tell you that. Can you imagine when your daughter, of course you've been through this, but starts dating and you get that whole process. What are the boys coming to the door? Well, you've already gone through it. So, I mean,
Yeah, but then I had a little break, and so I said, I can get out of shape, and now it's no.
All right, with that, let's talk to Sean Payton. Sean, what's going on, buddy?
Obviously, just finishing up the second week here with the organized team activities. Weather's been good, and the practices have been good. Pleased with the progressions, what we're doing, what we're getting installed, and of course next week we have 3 more days. It's mini camp, but if you were watching, it would look very similar. Any questions?
Obviously, Evan Ingram's got a track record in the league. Once you actually have him in your building, you're going through with them, do you find, maybe even things you didn't think about, or is it just, this is exactly?
No, I think there are nuances that you always discover with a player, that whether he's a rookie or he hasn't been with you, he's got real good instincts, awareness, zone, man-to-man, that kind of thing. He's doing well.
Sean, you're interested in Dobbins?
Yeah, he's coming in. I think he got in last night. I think he's in the building, or he's going to be in the building here pretty soon. We'll have a chance to visit with him, and then we'll see where it goes.
What was the secret in there?
It's just another good football player that we've seen firsthand. I've seen for a while, and just the importance of that position group. We really like the group right now we're working with. It's just another opportunity to possibly bring in another good football player to help us win.
Coach, your safety room, you got a lot of depth there after adding Fonga, Narcisel, Brandon Jones. What do you want to see from some of those other guys in that room here?
Well, I say this, the quickest way is special teams. It's hard to be safety 3 or 4 and not be a contributor. So I think that'll be real important.
Marvin Mims, his confidence level as a receiver, how much is it going to help the way he finished last season going into this campaign?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've said this to you before, confidence is born out of demonstrated ability, and you guys have done this long enough. You've seen athletes grow up right in front of your eyes, and that began not just at the end of the season, that began early part of the middle season. So you could see it and certainly feel it now.
Could you point it to Marvin when saying that Troy Franklin can take that jump from year 1 to year?
Sure.
Have you seen Troy take steps in this offseason?
Well, listen, there've been you haven't been able to see all the plays, but there've been a number of explosive plays. He can run, and I would say a strength of his is ball in hand after the catch. He can run after the catch. So he's doing well.
Saw Frank from getting some run out there today. What do you want to see from him development-wise in the coming months?
Yeah, look, he's extremely athletic. It's always harder on the big guys because we're not in pads, but he can move his feet really well. And again, he's a young player who, when you go through these installations, and for him it's his fourth or fifth time now, you're able to play a little faster.
You're in your third year of this stuff, and you're still a young football team relatively, but is there more of a maturity right now that you're starting to feel with this group?
Yeah, part of that is a byproduct of playing young players a year ago, but I would say yes. I would say yes.
Sean, I saw where I think you guys might have the most roster retention from last year, close to it at the top, so somebody had done the math.
Well, we probably had the most roster turnover in the 2 years prior. So,
but just because Bo talked about how now there's a lot less learning and just more doing so. But can you see that kind of team wide across the board?
I think we're obviously further along with regards to what we're doing. Now you still have to turn the game board over and start from the beginning. In our league, you have to do that. We're not picking up from where we left off. You have to start with the fundamentals, and you get a chance to do that in these sessions.
Sean, when you evaluated your O-line last year, some of the metrics outside said they were really good at win block rate in terms of the run game. Did you see that, and where do you expect that group to be, especially specific to the run?
Look, that group played well last year, and it's an important group. It's the one group that permeates your building, and so, yeah, when we watch cut-ups where there are runs that we felt like there were more meat on the bone, yes, and we feel like it's certainly a point of emphasis to improve in that area.
How important are McGlinchey and Bowles to that as the veteran outside guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. All five are important in the way they play. Luke did a good job of coming in, but the experience and the toughness of that group is extremely important.
This is kind of the end of the voluntary part. What do you consider good attendance as a coach? You look at who comes.
Everyone's here. John will be here next week. Periodically, like for instance, Garrett today had something. It's that time of the year where that's fine. But it really is the sum total of 5 weeks prior in the weight room, out on the field running, and it's been outstanding. And then I would say this city is conducive to players wanting to train here. That could be challenging at some other places.
Have you had years when you sort of sat back and said, this is a red flag, I need to change some things to get more guys in?
It's a good question. I think we're selling the off-season program, and we're selling the injury data prior to the last 2 seasons. Strength coaches, those in the training staff, the whole program, and what if the confidence level is high in what you're selling and doing, then generally speaking, your attendance is high.
Javonte was your best pass pro back last year.
Yeah.
Are you emphasizing that with Harvey and Estime? So
they're all getting. Look, they're all. It's not just 1 or 2 right now. I mean, Bidet is very good in that area. So early on, we're seeing all of them get the work. Then we'll worry about as we get closer.
Sean, you guys have
Utah and Texas. One more from Utah, then one from Utah's got to go.
Are there specific programs that you guys kind of trust?
No, look, there's some programs. When I was in New Orleans, it was just the way the draft unfolded, but LSU was winning. We never seemed to be in a position to draft an LSU player, and yet we were in a position oftentimes where an Ohio State player fell. So I had to come to Denver to draft an LSU player. Sometimes it can be a coincidence. Certainly there are programs that you know how they're run at the collegiate level, and you know that transition may be quicker because of where they're coming from. But I can't ever say I can recall sitting in a draft room and drafting the school. Usually the prospect arrives, but you do know what you're getting from some schools.
When you look back at last year, what sort of resource was Cortland for Bo as a young quarterback, and how do you hope to see that connection grow?
I think Cortland, look, he's a resource for the team from a leadership perspective. And there's a work ethic and a toughness that, and a consistency day to day that I think is a great benefit to a young quarterback.
Sean, this past couple of weeks, the voters voted unanimously to have NFL guys play in flag football in 2028. And I know it's early, but this past week, Pat Surtain said he has a high interest in playing. There's a separate report that says at least one NFL coach is interested in coaching. Again, forgive me, I know it's early, but
it's all good. I mean, it's all. When is that? What year?
2028. And they said whoever plays would be a little bit late for training camp. So I guess my question is,
I don't know that we've established that yet. I don't know that the league has looked at whether training camps for a period of time would be. So I think there's a lot of time before we get there. And, just that interest in our sport is obviously grown. But yeah, I mean, it's all good.
Would you consider coaching if that was an option to be part of the staff for the first ever Team USA?
Yeah, I don't want to answer questions in regards to 2028 when I'm focused on like Friday.
Fair.
There's I think a sentiment in the analytics community that defense at unit level, there's a higher volatility performance-wise for defense year over year. Have you seen that?
Say it again.
Defense, there's more volatility year over year in terms of performance than offense, maybe. Do you sense that, or what do you think?
Explain what you mean.
That it's harder to maintain being, say, a top 10 or a top 5 defense year after year after year than it is offense.
Well, look, it's hard to keep players who are playing well. You can't pay them all. So, in the salary cap structure, you're gonna lose good players. We had a third round in New Orleans where it was Kamara, Alex Anzalone, Trey Hendrickson, all of them in the third round. And in a few years, that becomes difficult. And so can that impact defense? Yeah. But I don't know that I buy into there's more volatility on that side of the ball than on offense. I think it just depends on the team.
Sean, on the defensive line, obviously.
And I don't plan on having any volatility with our defense from last year.
Obviously, a lot of talent and experience on the defensive line. That's a decisions to make. That's obvious. But when you look at the rookies, safety, Q, what are you looking for them right now, this year?
Well, right now, they're acclimating themselves. When we get to training camp, those two, it's difficult in these type of drills without pads. But once we get into training camp and we're playing in pads, we're playing preseason games, then it's the development and the growth. And we have a vision, obviously, with all those young guys.
Sean Payton was out here. I know he's out here plenty, but especially for new guys that they get to see him.
Yeah.
What's it mean when he...
Champ was here yesterday. I love when those guys come around. They have an interest in the program, and certainly they're impressionable. Our players know who they are, and it's good seeing them out here.
How did you alter your OTA plan using the week this year?
I just lost 3 OTAs and no big deal.
So what is it? You said the offensive line is one group for 2 weeks.
All right. Oh my God. we hung in there as best. Scott, you still with us? Still there with us?
Huh?
Yeah, I know.
No, yeah. Well, it's good. I like that better than practicing in underwear.
Yeah. I mean, we're just getting. I mean, we're asking questions about flag football in 2028. I mean,
well, once it gets in there, now you're stupid. I will say
that
this.
should be a heck of a show later.
I thought it was a real telling thing for me, and because there was question 2 years ago. I think he really likes Courtland Sutton.
Yeah. There's a lot of good things to touch on. We were just getting in kind of the,
Well, yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here?
The Muggles had to have their voice heard.
Holy cow.
Someone should have.
Lord. Hey, how was it having Peyton Manning out there? Was it cool? Oh, that's great.
No.
Yeah. I mean, what's your story?
What you gonna say?
Are you writing an article about Peyton Manning being? Maybe you are. I don't know.
Well, I guarantee you, somebody wrote a story somewhere that Peyton and Champ were there.
I'm sure they did.
Tyler didn't get mentioned. He played there.
Aside from Tyler was there. That would be funny. Hey, I heard Tyler Polumbus was out there at camp today. What'd you think?
More rings than Champ Bailey.
Oh, wow. Flag football in 2028, would you coach? Damn. Okay.
But a great answer.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about 2028. I'm still trying to worry about Friday.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Correct. Boy, when he wants to talk, when Sean's in the mood though, but we still don't know what happened in practice. That's why we got Andy there and Tyler's there and Leggy's there, and we'll hear like what actually happened. He's not going to. We really have no details about what's going on. I mean, if we went through some things here, Dobbins in the building. You want to see Dobbins play for the Broncos?
Why not? I think good play. And again, a great answer I thought he had. Listen, it's a good football player that would make our team better. Absolutely.
If you're going to be a safety, third safety, you better be good at special teams.
Which is smart, right? I mean, it'd be nice if you could have 2 backups for every position, but that's kind of what it is. And that'll probably go with linebacker too, right? Those guys that are 3rd or 4th or 5th linebacker, don't you think they've got to be able to play a lot of special teams also?
Mims and Troy Franklin are both developing. They grow up in front of your eyes. And
Mims sounds like he's had a good OTA.
I think I agree. And I think Troy Franklin has been making a lot of plays that we just don't see. And it's a little kind of frustrating that if it happens and nobody sees it, does it really happen? But I think it is happening, and they have some significant confidence in
I really think that Mims was a rookie. I don't think that Sean Payton is vastly in love with a lot of rookies. Was with Bo Nix, but I thought he kind of buried Mims. He buried Vele for the early part of the year, and Franklin had a rough. Let's be honest, Franklin had a rough training camp. I mean, of all the guys out there,
he was yelled at every day.
That we'd watch it drop, though. It was, you look up and say, "Oh, that's Frank."
He was yelled at rookie minicamp. He was being yelled at in OTAs. He was being yelled at in training camp. He just got yelled at. Frank Crum, Bo Nix's best friend, aside from you. He was with Bo Nix. Seriously, everything Bo Nix did this summer, Frank Crum was.
Yeah, we hung out.
The big blondie.
Yeah,
close to your height. He's right there with you.
Yeah,
Did you stand next to Frank at all?
Yeah. He's
not quite.
He's still a mouse. He's like 6'5", 6'6".
He's 6'9".
No, that's what they say,
dude.
Come on now.
I'm not saying you don't got him. I know you got him.
They measure him in cleats, and you take 2 inches off. And first of all, in pro sports, take 1 inch to 2 inches off everybody's height.
There ain't no way Frank Crum is 6'5". If you want to tell me he's 6'8 and a half, not 6'9",
maybe 6'6 and a half.
Anyway, he's a good guy to root for. Wyoming kid, you sort of get.
We got to get him in studio.
You guys could be back to back. Hey, if we get him in studio, Bo Nix may be attached to him, so that could be kind of cool.
Why is it always about Bo? Why can't you give Frank a little love? Maybe if Frank wants to invite Bo, like Bo has invited him. I mean, Bo took him to the front row of the Nuggets game, playoff game. Maybe Frank take him to the front row of the PhD.
I'm not sure Frank Crum talks. He hangs out with Bo.
He's a good-looking dude, though.
Well, I'm not saying that. I like blondies. Yeah. Your third year, are you more mature? Sure. Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, go back. I think Franklin's going to have a year like Mims last year.
That would be amazing.
I think they're on parallel tracks.
If
year past.
They get a huge "I told you so" about not drafting hire because they did draft Pat Bryant.
True.
I get R.J. Harvey, and I got to think about it before I say Pat Bryant and R.J. Harvey. Like, for whatever reason, I get Harvey. No, but I get the name Harvey and Bryant in my head.
R.J. Bryant's a good-looking name.
See, that is going to really screw me up right there. You
Anyway,
already did. You just did it. You really screwed me up.
I know Tyler doesn't like Franklin or Estime, but I still think that both those guys will have a better camp.
Well, how about Bidet getting a mention out of nowhere?
He likes Bidet.
No kidding. Well, who doesn't? But who? No kidding. So we gotta circle that one. I mean, when your name gets brought up out of nowhere, it's that doesn't happen by accident.
Well, another
that's
guy
somebody that's high on their
we
list.
We liked in training camp last year and looked good in the preseason, but was practice squad pretty much all year was Watson, the running back also.
Garrett Bowles missed practice today. He had something else going on.
Maybe the kid had a continuation.
I have no idea. Something else. It's voluntary. Who cares? Like Sean Payton pointed out, we've been together here for 5 weeks. They've been together for the same amount of time training camp will be. They've already done it. Training camp's around, in total, training camp preseason, what is it? 5-6 weeks, something like that. They're wrapping that up. They got one more week of it. So who knows? Then, I don't know. We have flag. Thank God we got the answer to flag football. And that's about it. Anything else stand out to you?
No, I enjoy his press conferences.
Yeah, the sore throat still, huh?
I think
still with the sore throat.
You'll cure that.
What's that? Little honey?
Yep.
Little honey and
honey and whiskey, right?
Little honey and whiskey.
Yeah, honey and whiskey. Have you ever done that?
I have not. I definitely have had the sore throat thing. It's awful, man. I hate it. I've been through that a million times. It sucks. I have a lot of honey. I've stayed away from the whiskey.
You?
Right? That doesn't make any sense.
Do you have a bottle of bourbon in your house?
I do have a bottle of bourbon. I have a great story of my bottle of bourbon.
Really?
I do, and I haven't Wooford, something like that.
Wooford Estates,
something like that. Yeah, Nikki Javala gave it to me when she left here for the Washington Post as a sort of a thank you. It was great working together and being friends because of all the stuff that we had done together about the ownership issue. And she came over right before she left. She gave me a bottle, and I said, when the Broncos finally get sold, we'll crack it open together and we'll share one. And that happened. Then I found out she was pregnant and she wasn't going to crack the bottle.
Crack it open.
She wasn't going to crack it open at that particular point. So I was happy for Nikki, and it remains untouched.
So it hadn't even been broke the seal or anything.
It has. I just keep it now because I think of Nikki every day when I look at it.
It's a good jug whiskey.
Okay. Well, I'll take that in mind when I have the jug band over.
No, I'm talking about, don't you have jug wine?
I do not have jug wine.
Do you know what jug wine is?
But something Vic Lombardi's mom makes?
No. Well, here's what we always talked about. That's the wine that you'll drink every day that ain't going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Gotcha.
And that you can, so those bottles that you have.
Oh, well, that's all I have.
But then, some people always have one or two of those real nice bottles.
I do not have those.
You're not going to have Tyler come over and crack a bottle of Prisoner.
I'm going to look that up. And we're going to have Andy Lindahl, and I don't know what he's been drinking, but he'll join us, and he saw the practice. That's next.